Hello and welcome again. Today I've got three pieces of fabric, three pieces of yellow, nice summery, fresh fabrics. These two are nice viscose, very soft, very drapey. I just had these little pieces left over. And this is a cotton pillowcase. Very vintage, and I just love the pattern of it. It's very beautiful. I've got a top that we're going to use as a pattern piece. This is a very boxy, wide top, and this material is actually stretchy, but because it is so wide, it can also go in woven materials. I have tried it out, so I know it's wide enough to also work in a top that's not stretchy. So we're gonna make three different tops with this one as a starter base, and let's see how it goes. And this is simply about seeing how far you can go with the piece of fabric that you have. So this fabric is in 2 layers, and then there is that extra little bit of pillowcase piece that we'll just cut away towards the end. So here 2 layers, and if I fold it like this, we have 4 layers. So we have 2 fold middle here and 4 layers. I'm going to fold the top, place it so the 2 folds are aligned up against each other, and you can see that this will simply be a top without any sleeves. This will just be a very standard box top. We'll just use as much of the fabric as we possibly can. So I'm not going to mark anything here, I'm simply just going to cut. And I go close here. I actually don't get as much seam allowance as I normally have, but I'm using the fabric and I'm going as close as I can. And there is a little bit of seam allowance, but I know because this top is so wide that it will be fine, even though it doesn't have a full centimeter seam allowance. Here I'm just cutting approximately 1 centimeter above from the back neck opening, and then 1 centimeter here from the shoulder line. This is the top so far. Here we have our 4 layers. I'm going to take this 1 layer off now, put the top next to the fabric again, approximately where I was lying before, and then I'm just going to cut here for the front neck opening. So you can see I went quite close to the original one, and then just a nice curve up till the shoulder point, and that's it. That is the first pattern, that is the first fabric for the first top cut. And that is the first fabric for the first top cut. And I'll just cut these extra little bits off. And over here we had that little piece from the original pillowcase that I'll just put over here and save with my scraps because I think it's very nice. Okay, that will just go off to the side for a little bit, and I will cut the other 2. Lovely viscose, very soft, very drapey. And I'm gonna see what can this turn into. It's folded twice now. And actually we have 4 layers, the 2 folds here. We also have folds here, but I'm just not gonna worry about them at the moment. So first of all, just our 2 folds here. And you know what? I'm gonna do a double. I'm gonna cut them both at the same time. I'm gonna fold this one twice as well. this is not as wide a piece, so it won't be as wide a top, but I can show you just the two different types you can make. So here we have all our fabric, 4 layers of this, 4 layers of this, our 2 folds here and our 2 folds there. Not the same length, we'll cut that when we get to it. Top on again, folded top. There we go, there we go. The folds are aligned up against each other. I'm finding my marker now. So I'm going 1 centimeter above the neck opening of the back neck opening, 1 centimeter above the shoulder point, and 1 centimeter here, and again I'm just continuing onto the back fabric. We can have a bit of longer sleeves on that one. I'm gonna make a nice curve here and down 1 centimeter seam allowance approximately from the side seam here, and then I'm just gonna cut, well, I'm not gonna mark that, I'm gonna cut that later. So if I'm gonna start just by cutting, giving as much seam allowance as there is possibility for, and then 1 centimeter approximately, and the nice curve. I'm gonna cut these frayed edges off. I'm gonna cut the neck opening, marked after the back neck opening. And so, yeah, it doesn't quite follow my marking, but this looked better. A little bit to use for later. So I can just take this away to the side now. And with this one, I'm just gonna cut it all the way up here. This will be a version without any sleeves. So I'm just continuing the line here all the way up. Opening one layer up like this. Putting the shirt on here approximately. You can see here where the front neck opening is, and then I'm going 1 centimeter above that and cutting through the piece that will be the front piece and all the way up to the shoulder point. So that is this pattern fabric cut and ready. Then I'll do the same here for the other fabric. I'll open one layer, put the top like this. The front neck opening is here, and I'll mark 1 centimeter above that, and then can draw a nice curve, or I can just simply cut it like this, and we're ready to sew. So with this, with all of these three, we put them fabric front to front, and you can put pins in, you can put clips in, do what you need to do to make the fabric stay where you want it to be. You stitch here from the sleeve opening to the shoulder point, on the other side as well, from the sleeve opening down here following the curve down the side seam, and as well on the other side. We do that first. I'm going to use my overlocker because I have one. If not, you can use a normal sewing machine. Remember to give it a zigzag stitch so the ends don't fray. So let's simply start with that. I have some bias tape for later for finishing off the shirts. Saving that over here. I'm going to start with the sleeve opening and then the line over to the neck opening. First bit done. Then I'll find the neck opening, the side, and over to the sleeve opening. And you can see I'm going quite close to the edge of the fabric here, so there isn't much cut away by the overlocker, just a little bit. Now it's the end of this, the bottom of the sleeve opening, and down the curve, down the side seam. So that's all the overlocking done on this one. And as always, I've tried to cut the neck opening a little bit on the small side to be better safe than sorry, because you can always make it extra wide, make it a bit more open, and instead of, yeah, you can't make it smaller. So I'll quickly just try it on and see here. So with this, I'm going to use bias tape. So that's only going to take maybe 1/2 centimeter off the opening, the size of it. But I think that will actually fit in nicely with what my idea was. So I'm not going to cut anything off this. So if you wanted to make it bigger, you could just simply decide, okay, I want it bigger here on the front, so I'm going to cut 1 centimeter extra down, or I want it bigger on the sides. You know, I don't want it bigger here. I just want it deeper. So you can always, you know, try it on before you do anything more to it, and then simply see what you want it to be. And I'm going to put this away just for now, and I'm going to finish it off when I get to my normal sewing machine, because nothing more needs to be overlocked with this one. So with these two, the two boxy ones, oh, this one still has a little bit of extra fabric there. These two, no sleeves, just a box top. I'm going to figure out what's the front of the fabric, what's the back of the fabric. It's actually a little bit hard to see. I think this is the front here, and this is the front. So I will place them up against each other, and then I will just do the two shoulder seams. That's the only thing I'll do right now. So the two shoulder seams stitched together like this. So I could actually try now if I wanted to, just to try to see how open I want this. And I think for this one I'd actually like it a little bit more open, so I'm just going to cut 1/2 centimeter of it all the way around in the neck opening. Very carefully. I want to say, don't do this at home, kids. Mark it first. Make sure you have full control, so you don't suddenly cut off too much and that beautiful piece of fabric that you saved for ages is now wasted. But I know what I'm doing. Yes, beautiful. A little bit more open now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the neck opening with the raw edge, because we're going to put bias tape on that. But the rest of it here, I'm going to overlock. I'm going to serge all the way through these edges. You can use a zigzag stitch as well, because I need them to be finished off. So we're gonna have no fraying edges here. I'm just going to fold that up and put it away, because the rest is going to be done on the sewing machine. Last bit. Again, another box top, and I'm going to do the same as I did with the other one. just before, so I'm placing the fabric front to front, and I'm just going to do the 2 shoulder seams there and there. I'm going to leave the neckline with raw edges because I'm going to bias tape that up later. So I'm going to do the same with this one as I did to the other one. I'm going to overlock it all the way around all the sides. And done. And then it's time to put the overlocker away, because the rest of this needs to be done on the sewing machine along with the 2 others. Let's start with the long sleeved one, or the long sleeve one, the one with actual sleeves. So we'll start with the bias tape. For this I'm going to use this white and very narrow bias tape, and bias tape is this kind of tape that can fold up on both sides, so it has these very sharp folds that you can use to sew along. You unfold one side of the bias tape, make a fold for the bias tape so you don't have a raw edge of the bias tape poking out on your top. You place it so it follows the edge of your fabric and pop it into the machine. And then you stitch along the fold that you've folded up. So now you have the bias tape stitched onto the fabric, but of course it needs to be folded down. So what you do is that you fold it, and you can do that in different ways. You can fold it so it's with the bias tape on one side and the fabric on the other side, and you stitch there. You can fold it so you can see a little bit of the bias tape, as if there's a little kind of a little piping tape. So that's pretty much up to you. You can do these different things with bias tape. So I'm going to fold it so it's the bias tape is hidden on the back, so you can only see the yellow fabric. And when you then stitch it on, you have to be sure that I don't know what I wanted to say. You just have to be sure that the bias tape is stitched on, so that you don't just sew beside the bias tape and then the bias tape is not attached and it kind of flops up. That's what I wanted to say. So make sure, perhaps you need to move your needle or move your foot, the foot of the sewing machine. And that was all the way around the neck opening. Cut off threads. And as you can see here, the bias tape doesn't go anywhere. It is stitched on. It is stitched in place. And with a little bit of ironing down, this will look very nice, a very nice neck opening. The sleeve opening, the sleeve openings and the bottom opening have not been overlocked, haven't been zigzag, and nothing been done to them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it towards the back, the fabric, once, and fold it twice, so we have a double fold and we have the raw edge that's been hidden inside that fold. And then I'm going to stitch very close to the fold and finish the other openings off that way. You can put in pins, you can put in clips, I'm just going to do it freehand as I go along. So 1 fold, 2 folds, and stitch in place. Too much frame that's getting some before you fold. So that was the bottom opening done. So many threads to cut here. Very nice. A bit of ironing on that will look good. Doing the same to these 2 sleeve openings here. Folding the fabric towards the back twice and then into the machine. The last bit of threads to be cut, that was that. And a cool boxy sleeved little top. I'm gonna iron that and try it on. Very nice. For the 2 others, the 2 box tops, I'm gonna approach them the same way. Bias tape on the neck openings, and the sleeves, this was pretty much the length of that top. And we have the top here. You can see here where the sleeve openings of this top is. So I'm going to mark approximately a little bit further from where the sleeve opening is. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to mark here, put a pin in. Yes, and that means that this will be the sleeve opening. This is where we're going to take our arms out, and this is going to be the side seam. So first of all, going to stitch these 2 side seams together there as well. And I'm going to give it just 1.5 centimeters from the edge of the fabric. One side, other side. Good, I marked where that was. So we have side seams now, and we have sleeve openings. So how we're going to do these, we're going to fold the fabric. You can see we have the side seam here, so I'm going to fold this. So it creates a fold that follows the side seam approximately. Just going to use some clips here to hold it in place. So basically, we will put the sleeve into the machine and stitch like 0.5 centimeter from the edge here all the way around the sleeve, so we hide the overlocked edge inside the sleeve. It's a bit fiddly to just get it into the machine here. We start just a little bit below where the side seam ends. So a bit forward, a bit back, and up again. Getting to the shoulder seam. Taking the clips out as we go along. just stretch it out a little bit. And we get down here to the other side of the side seam, and we end it there, going back and forth a couple of times, cutting off the threads. These threads are annoying today, so I will just show you here. One sleeve, following the side seam. This can be ironed nice and flat. Opening, lovely, nice. I'm going to do the same for the other side. I'm going to do it without clips. Just going to pop it in. Two sleeves. Nice. The bottom, that's going to be as simple as nothing else. It's simply just going to be turned, folded towards the back, 1.5 centimeters approximately, and then stitched on, not going anywhere. Simple and nice. For the neck opening, we're going to use some bias tape, and let me just see here, because I have I have this satin cream beige one. I have the other one that's a bit mixed, I think would fit really well with this pattern fabric, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to open it up again and fold the edge of it as I place it here. So front of fabric facing front of bias tape. There is a fold here, so you can't see any of the raw edges of the bias tape when you are done. And then I'm going to stitch in this fold. This bias tape is also a little bit vintage, I think. It's a bit wrinkly. And I'm just making a small overlap. And there's a little bit of excess fabric, bias tape to cut away. That fits it quite nicely. Bias tape is on now. It's not ready. It doesn't look how it's supposed to. And again, you can fold the bias tape so it's all the way to the back. You only have the front of the fabric showing, or you can make this little piping edge that you can just see. And I'd actually like to do that this time. So I'm just going to fold this this side of the bias tape where it wasn't quite sharp in its fold. Fold that towards the back, and I'm just making sure that perhaps 3 millimeters of bias tape is visible. Pop it into the machine. Again, make sure that the bias tape will be stitched on by the machine. So maybe move the needle a bit or move the foot, so you make sure that the bias tape is actually caught and won't just escape the thread. And make sure that you also have the raw edges from inside your neck opening, that they actually also get hidden inside the bias tape. Sometimes you think you've done it all right, and then when you take it out of the machine, you can see that the bias tape is just plopping up again, and so is the fabric. Right, that was all the way around. Let's see if we were lucky. If we had the right distance with the foot. Yes. All the bias tape is caught with the thread. Oh, there's a little bit of a, you can see this is what can happen when you are not quite, what's it called? When you're just a little bit too quick and you just do it freehand without putting any pins or needles in it, then it can look like this. But I can correct that later, or never. Lovely. That's 2 down, 1 more to go. Third and last yellow top is ready for some ironing, and then I'll try them on to show you.